Hey everyone, Ocean of Jelly here. So, today I'm not really looking at my mantids, at least not in this video, but I am curious. A couple of things that have been, I don't know, on my mind, I guess, recently, or have been for some time, regarding feeder, a couple of the most popular feeder insect types or species, whatever. So, with crickets, I never understood why, and this is just mostly my musings or reflecting, because I don't really know the actual answer to any of this. I suppose I could look it up and see if I could find anything, but I don't know. But with crickets, it's probably the most popular staple feeder insect for pretty much everything. Reptiles, invertebrates, whatever you have. You're always going to see, tons and tons of people buying crickets or using crickets. I mean, they are a pain in the neck. They can smell. And there are certain aspects about them that I don't particularly care for. But I don't really feel like buying roaches, dealing with that. I know the species that you can buy here won't, they won't infest anything if they get out or whatever. It's not really that. They need more room than. I mean, this is a little 2.5 gallon, aquarium, and that's all I need for the amount of crickets that I go through, for my collection. But anyway, so despite the popularity of crickets and all that, something that I've found being a more in-depth keeper of exotics is that there are certain species of animals, mostly invertebrates for the most part, at least that I've seen, that they say you're not supposed to feed regularly crickets due to the risk of health effects, I guess, health issues. And I never understood that, because it's like, all right, you can't feed crickets all the time to these certain animals. In my case, I know they say that praying mantises you're not supposed to. So you're not supposed to do that for risk of having a health issue with the mantis or whatever. But for tarantula, scorpions, whatever, other invertebrates, and most reptiles, and snakes for the most part, it's fine. No one complains about that. For reptiles, you're supposed to calcium dust them and that kind of thing. But other than that, there's no major complaints. So the only thing I can think of that makes any kind of sense at all is if, for some reason, certain animals, namely the praying mantises in my case, I guess perhaps the fact that for some reason unbeknownst to me, probably has to do with their diet, but crickets do seem to tend to rot much quicker than other invertebrates that die. I remember I tried feeding crickets to a Venus flytrap, not this one, but a Venus flytrap that I had years ago, and it rotted right off the vine. So that's the only thing I can think of that makes sense, is maybe their diet or something in their body chemistry causes premature, rotting, and of course that can obviously be an issue because, well, it's decay. I mean, it's, aside from the fact that it's disgusting, it's not sanitary, really. So anyways, that's the only thing, I just musing on that. Who knows if that's actually the case or not, I couldn't tell you. Put that on there. Another thing that doesn't make sense, to me personally, is this whole difference between superworms and mealworms. Now, superworms and mealworms, in my opinion, look exactly the same. I mean, I'm sure there's some subtle differences aside from the size. The size is obvious. One of them's larger than the other. Okay, that I understand. But other than that, I mean, are superworms just larger mealworms or what? What's the deal? I mean, I don't get it. And also, superworms Superworms cannot be refrigerated, but mealworms can. If you have mealworms, you can refrigerate them to basically they go dormant, and you keep them for, until you're ready to use them. With superworms, you can't do that. Can't get a good shot of them. But superworms cannot be placed in the refrigerator. I guess it would kill them. So, I guess they are. I mean, I haven't looked into this prior to making this video, so I might be just answering my own question. But they probably are different species of beetle that they'll eventually turn into. Although why it takes them so long, I have no idea. But I just always found that interesting. They look exactly the same, although the larvae of a lot of things look similar to each other. So, I mean, I guess that's not a huge surprise. And the fact that they can eat these oats, and of course if I threw a carrot in there, they'd eat it. But then, that's another thing. You're not supposed to feed carrots to the superworms or mealworms, because apparently some toxin or something that's in the carrot can transfer into the I guess be transmitted into the predator, the animal that you're feeding. I don't know if that affects reptiles or not. It certainly affects invertebrates as far as I've read. So anyway, that's all I have. I'm just, it's a lazy Friday morning here. I'm just musing on feeder insects. Anyway, all right. I'm going to wrap this one up, and I'll see you on the next one.